Look, here's a well-known secret. There's more places to stay in New York than Times Square. But as a first-time visitor, it's hard to figure out if a neighborhood is right for your trip. So in this video, I'm ranking the 10 best areas for first-time visitors. If you visit New York frequently, you probably have a handle on the layout of the city and you're evaluating hotels and neighborhoods differently. But this video is for your first trip. I put this all together based on my experience running Kansu, where we create custom travel guides. Our guides help people maximize their time in the city, and one of our tricks to doing that is to make sure that your last activity during the day is near a train line that can quickly get you back to your hotel. This way, no matter what part of the city you're exploring during the day, it's always a quick shot to get you back home. And I'll pull up the laptop and I'll use Google Hotels to show you how all this matters. Google Hotels has a lot of data, actually more data than we need. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove all of the hotels, and I just want to show you the map. So I'm going to set the price to under $75. There's no hotels in New York that are under $75, so that will clear off the space, and I just want to show you the layout. Now, New York consists of 5 boroughs, but most visitors spend all their time in Manhattan, and not all of Manhattan either. Most people spend their time from halfway of Central Park all the way down to the bottom, to the Battery. You may explore Harlem, you may go up to the Bronx, the Yankee Stadium, you may go out to Brooklyn, the Dumbo, other places. But when we're talking about a central neighborhood to book your hotel, you want to stay somewhere in this area. Now, transit is really important. Getting around New York is very easy by transit. And the reason I like Google Hotels for this is because you can push this little button here and then you'll see the subway options. Actually, there's more than just subways. You'll see PATH trains. You'll see trains that take you out of Manhattan. Again, it's a lot of data, more than we need, but it helps me make the point. So I'm going to zoom in. The more transit options you have to your hotel, the easier it's going to be for you to get around the city, period. Let's add in hotels and I'll start to show you a little more. So I will say that my nightly price for a hotel can't go beyond $350, okay? So we'll just set this all the way up here, $351 is close enough. Now we have our hotels listed, and so now let's start to evaluate the different neighborhoods based on the hotel options available. I recently helped a family of 4 visiting New York for their first time. They were traveling with 2 kids, and they booked a hotel that was right around here in Greenpoint. It was a great rate, but their closest subway station was across this bridge, and they had to go out here to Long Island City and jump on the 7. And they were visiting in December. In December, it gets dark at 5 o'clock. And so as a first-time visitor, having to cross a bridge, walk 15 minutes from the closest subway in the cold, in the dark, every day just to get back to your hotel, it's really not worth it, especially when you can book another hotel in an area that probably has a comparable rate and that's much closer to a subway station. That's why I'm stressing the importance around your transit options. Now I'm going to take you through this map, and we're just going to use the map. And I'll start to talk about some of the best areas to stay in and what makes them so special. I'm also going to cover the left-hand side of the screen. I'll use that to put up notes and any other information that I need. Okay, let's start with this area that I was just talking about, which is Long Island City. This is actually a really good area to stay in, especially if you're a budget traveler. You'll tend to find cheaper hotels in Long Island City than you will over here in Manhattan. Long Island City is part of Queens, and the nice thing about this area is it's a very quick commute to get into Midtown. If you see this purple line, this is the 7 line. If you're anywhere near the 7 line, it's about 15 minutes to get here to Midtown. Also, when you're on this side of the river, you get to take in these beautiful views of the Manhattan skyline. I'd say families are good here. Couples are good here as well. It tends to be a little quieter at night than in Midtown, but it's not the quietest. You can still find things to do. There's still lots of food. It's still a great area. And if you're just looking at these prices on the screen, you can see what I mean. These prices tend to be lower than the prices right across the river in Midtown. Over here, I'm seeing 207, 292, 273. Right over here, we're seeing 301, 339, 300, 304. So again, the prices tend to be cheaper in Long Island City. Williamsburg is on some people's list. The only downside to Williamsburg is there's only one train that gets you there. This is the L train, and at night, that L train can be very annoying. Just to go back to Long Island City quickly, when we look at Long Island City, another reason I like Long Island City is because there's multiple trains, right? So you have the 7 train that's coming in. You have all these train lines that you can take to get to the hotels. And again, more train options give you more flexibility, makes it easier for you to get around the city and do more things. So Williamsburg has a few hotels. I don't think it's great for first-time visitors. I'm just gonna jump over it. The next place down here that I would recommend is downtown Brooklyn. This is a major hub for trains. Look at all the subway lines that are coming in here. It's very easy to get to downtown Brooklyn from just about any train. You have a lot of hotels. You can get to Dumbo pretty easy. And when we're comparing the prices of hotels in downtown Brooklyn to what's across the river in the financial district, you'll see the prices over here tend to be lower. Let's go over here to the financial district. And the financial district actually has a lot of hotels. You can see this big cluster of hotels. If you decide to stay in the financial district, you're near the 9/11 Memorial, you're near the Statue of Liberty, you're near Wall Street. There are a lot of trains running through the financial district, as we can see with all these lines. One of the things I actually really like about the financial district is it's easy to get to trains that run along the east or the west side of Manhattan because the financial district is so narrow. But it is about a 20-minute commute to get you back to Midtown. So if you're here for 4 days and you're planning to go to a few Broadway shows and your Broadway shows are in the evening, getting down here to the financial district is going to take you longer than it would Long Island City. The other thing to note about the financial district is it gets very quiet at night. During the day, it's busy, but after 6, 7 o'clock at night, it starts to quiet out. Now, moving up a little bit, here we have the Lower East Side. I'm just going to lump everything in, call it the Lower East Side. On the east side, and then we have a few hotels in Soho. This is foodies heaven. So in this area, there's Cats, you'll have Russ and Daughters. You can spend your entire time walking through the Lower East Side and eating. This is a great neighborhood. If you're a couple, you'll like this area a lot. This area has a lot of bars, has a lot of music. There's a lot of life in the evenings. I wouldn't recommend this area if you have kids. Also, if you're traveling with your friends and you just want to find a hotel that's around some great bars, this is a good spot for you, the Lower East Side. Soho is probably the trendiest and like the fashion capital of New York. For first-time visitors with kids, I don't know if I would stay down here. For repeat visitors, it's totally fine. There's less hotels here than you'll find on the Lower East Side, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about it. Now we're getting closer to Midtown, and I'm just going to zoom in here a little bit. This is where the majority of the hotels are. So first, I just want to talk about these clusters and why I'm going through the map like this. Greenwich Village is a great neighborhood, probably one of my favorite neighborhoods in the city, but there's not a lot of hotels. It doesn't mean that you can't explore. It's very easy to get there, but in terms of staying there, especially for your first trip, there's not a lot of options. Kind of the same thing here in the East Village. But when we go up, now this area starts to move into the Chelsea, Gramercy area. And for the sake of this video, I will call this Midtown South. I'm just going to use Google's naming convention and call this all Midtown South. And this is my favorite area for first-time visitors, especially first-time visitors with kids. I think anywhere above 28th Street to about 40th Street, which is around here, this is really when people get it right because you can get lower rates than when you're in Times Square. you're not very far from Times Square. Just to give you an idea of distance, if you're walking from the Empire State Building to Times Square, it's about a 15-20 minute walk. It's just 2 stops on the train. So you're very close to Times Square, and you have all these train options around. You have all the trains on the west side. You have the 4, 5, and 6 on the east side. And again, you get the lower rates, and you don't have to deal with all the frenetic and crazy energy that you get in Times Square. So this to me is the best spot for people visiting for their first time. I think you guys get it right. There's a lot of hotels to choose around here near the Empire State Building, between the Empire State Building and Bryant Park. There's also a lot of hotels over here on the west side, near 7th and 8th Avenue. You'll see a cluster of hotels, and this is where Madison Square Garden is. So if you're coming in for games, if you're coming in for a concert, if you're coming in for an event at the Garden, if you book anything in this area, you're golden, absolutely golden. So now the main place that people book, because it's so well known, it's easy. And to be honest, I really get why people book it. Almost every train flows through Times Square. All of these trains here, they look like they're going across different avenues, but they all stop at Times Square. And that is the advantage of Times Square. Easy access to all the trains gives you easy access to the entire city. You're also right in the theater districts. So if you're visiting the city and your plan is to do a few Broadway shows, staying in this area makes it very easy for you to get to Broadway. The prices tend to be higher in Times Square than they are in other areas. The downside is you don't get a local experience. But if you're willing to venture out, you can go to 9th Avenue and get some good options. You can go to the east side and get some good options. You can come down here where the winners are and get some really good options. And again, in terms of food, when you're near the Empire State Building, you're near Koreatown, and the food is phenomenal there. Now, let's talk about Midtown East. People really like this area, and I do too. Of these two areas, I would prefer to stay on the east side than the west side. The only downside to me on the east side is you only have the 4, 5, and 6 train. So when it comes to planning your days, you do just have to be a little bit more thoughtful as to what your last activity is. For example, let's say you're at Chelsea Market. Getting back to your hotel over in Midtown East, it's harder because you have to get to the 4, 5, and 6, which is all the way over here. You'd have to take the L to the 4, 5, and 6, transfer and go up there. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's just for your first time in the city. It's easier when you're in Times Square and you can just take one train that will get you to your hotel. The food here is much better than when you're in Times Square. There's some really, really good food options, really good bars. It's quiet, but not too quiet. Grand Central is here. Bryant Park is here. New York Public Library is on this side. It's a great neighborhood. You just have to plan out your days a little bit. Not the worst thing in the world. Now, I'm going to move up slightly because there's a few more hotels in this area. I'm going to call it Central Park South. And this to me is a great area for first-time visitors as well, especially first-time visitors with families. You're close to Times Square, but you're not too close. And you actually have the best of both worlds. Up here, you're closer to Rockefeller Center. You are closer to Central Park, obviously. During the holidays, if you book a hotel that's in this area, you tend to do pretty well because you're also near all of the retail stores on 5th Avenue. So Central Park South is another great spot for first-time visitors. I definitely recommend it. Now we're going up the Upper East Side. Up here, there's not a lot of hotels, at least hotels under $350, which is where the majority of people's price range is. I'm not going to talk about it much. Over here on the west side, though, you do have a few hotels, and I personally love this area. They're kind of split into two. There's some hotels down here near Lincoln Center. I think all these hotels are great. Upper West Side has some really, really nice boutique hotels too. You have the Beacon Hotel, which is a great option. You have the Art House Hotel, which is a great option. This to me is the best place when you're staying with seniors. So when you're staying with people that are over 70, this tends to be a great spot. And the reason I say that is because when you're staying in Times Square, as soon as you walk out of that hotel, there's so many people on the street that if someone's in a walker or they're with a cane, they just need a few minutes to get themselves situated and steady before they get into that pace of Times Square. When you walk out on the streets on the Upper West Side, they have a few minutes to get themselves acclimated before they have to walk at the city pace. Less trains are up here, but there's still enough trains, and you have the Museum of Natural History, and you have the park. And I think the nice thing about having the park near you is you don't have to squeeze the park into 2 or 3 hours. You can spread it out over your entire trip, and you can see it at your own pace. Remember, the park is 843 acres. It's big. So you can grab a bagel and you can walk through the park and just enjoy parts of the park. Knowing how to navigate the subways can be a major advantage on your trip. Before you arrive, take a look at this video with subway tips for first-time visitors. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.